Hello friends, welcome back to online class. Last week we discussed about contextual mission in Myanmar in the context of the Buddhist view of karma. Today class we are going to discuss on the contextual missions of Ghana. I wish if we could have class face-to-face class, I wish some friends from Ghana to present the paper. But since we can have only online class, I will try my best from contextual missions of Ghana. It will not be complete, but please, in your comment more your opinions and your views from the missions, the contextual missions of Ghana. So first of all, let's see the background of Ghana. Ghana, officially known as the Republic of Ghana, is the country located along the Gulf of Guinea and Atlantic Ocean in the sub-regions of the West Africa, spanning a land mass of 92,000 kilometers square miles. Ghana is bordered by the Ivory Coast in the west and Burkina Faso in the north and Togo in the east and Gulf of Guinea and Atlantic Ocean in the south. Ghana means warrior king in the Soninke language. The first permanent state in the territory of present-day Ghana dates back to 11th century. Numerous kingdoms and empires emerged over centuries, of which the most powerful was Kingdom of Dagbon and the Kingdom of Ashanti. Beginning in the 15th century, the Portuguese Empire, followed by numerous European powers, contested the area for trading rights until the British colony ultimately established control of the coast by the late 19th century. Following over a century of native resistance, Ghana's current borders were established by 1900s as the British Gold Coast. It became independent from the United Kingdom on 6 March 1957. Ghana has its population approximately 30 million, span variety of ethnic, linguistic, and religious groups. According to 2010 census, 70% of population was Christians and 17% was Muslims and 5.2% practice traditional faith. Its diverse geography and ecology range from coastal savanna to tropical rainforest. Ghana is the unitary constitutional democracy led by the president, who is both the head of the state and the head of the government. And Ghana is growing economic prosperity, democratic political system have made it a regional power in West Africa. So Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries in Africa. It is a member of the Non-Aligned Movement, African Union and Economic Community of West African States, Groups 24, G24, and the Commonwealth Nations. And Ghana is very rich in natural resources, petroleum and natural gas productions. Ghana produces and exports an abundance of hydrocarbons as sweet crude oil and natural gas. 100% state-owned filling stations company of Ghana, Ghana Oil Company, is the #1 petroleum and gas filling stations of Ghana, and 100% state-owned state oil company, Ghana National Petroleum Corporations oversee hydrocarbon exploration and productions of Ghana entire petroleum and natural gas reserves. Ghana aims to further increase output of oil to 2.2 million barrels. That means 350,000 meters square per day, gas to 34 million cubic meters per day. And Ghana is also very rich in industrial minerals. Known for its industrial minerals, Ghana is the world's 7th largest producer of gold, producing over 102 metric tons of gold. And Ghana also is the 2nd largest producer of gold in Africa. And Ghana has the 9th largest reserves and is the 9th largest producers of diamonds in the world. Industrial minerals and exports from South Ghana are gold, silver, timber, diamonds, and bauxite and manganese. The government of Ghana has drawn up plans to nationalize Ghana's entire mining industry to increase government revenues. So in short, we can see that Ghana is very rich in natural resources. They have timbers, they have diamonds, gold, silvers, and they have also natural gas and petroleum. So very rich in natural resources. This is a brief picture of Ghana, and now we are going to look at the mission in Ghana. Especially today, we are going to focus on inculturations of Christianity in Ghana, especially the town of Bompata, located on the road from Accra to Kumasi. So here, this is I will present from the research paper of Nicole Erin Kessens. The lady is from US, so maybe she doesn't know properly or perfectly about Ghana cultures and practices, but as much as she can, she try it, and then I'll present from her research. Nicole Erin, she employs as methodology emic approach cooperate with ethics. Emic means perspective from the local worldviews, and ethic means perspective from the observer. Or in other words, we can say this is inside view and this is outside view. So she said, my ethnography will focus on ethnic approach with the incorporations of the ethic approach. I realized that my informants are so embodied in the culture that I will have insight that may not be recognizable to the people themselves, but their stories will provide me with a framework to analyze. I'll be telling the 125-year story of the process inculturations of Christianity in the town of Bompata. I'll be examining a particular historical movement of inculturations from my personal observation, meditated through the voice of the people of Bompata. And I acknowledge that I'll be trying to apply Western categories of objective knowledge and history to the people's long-standing oral traditions. So in the West, the cultural worldviews is determined by science, but Ghanaians' cultural worldviews is determined by their stories, she says. So she's a lot of things she based on the stories and interviews. First of all, let us see the background of the missionary movement. Pentecost. First of all, let us see the background of the missionary movement. Protestant Britain in 1698 founded the Society for Promoting Christians' Knowledge, SPCK. This was Britain's first attempt to reaching out those people not under the influence of the English education system. The full-scale missionary movement was not born until the 19th century, when large numbers of Europeans began going abroad. It first began with an attempt to educate the coarse and ignorant British citizens who worked in the factories, coal mines, and foreign plantations. The effort was then spread to foreigners living under British influence. The SPCK was founded under the mission to distribute fundamental Christian teachings. They focused on dispensing Bibles and New Testament and common prayer books. Thomas Bray, the founder of SPCK, acknowledged the need for instructors or ministers. He petitioned the king in 1701 to charter an organization that would provide the British colonies with missionaries. These organizations came to be known as Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in Foreign Parts, SPG. At first, the main mission was to assure that the British native living in colonies maintained their beliefs, and only secondly did it seek conversion of the native. However, the main focus quickly switched to the salvation of the heathens, the pagans. In 19th century, many missions organizations came to exist. such as Baptist Missionary Society and Christian Missionary Society and London Missionary Society. Societies were also chartered to collect monies and print Bibles. According to Professor Brain Penitence, the sudden proliferation of organized concern for the propagations of the gospel, Christian gospel, marked the commencement of the age of missions. This age was focused on saving the heathens and assuring their salvation from sin, providing them with life after death. So one of these scholars mentioned that in 19th century, one of the significant marks of the missionary movement is special concern for the salvations of the heathen people, to provide salvation to them with a life after death. When Western missionaries first came to the continent of Africa, there was an imbalance. When Western missionaries first came to African continent, there was an imbalance. The dialogue between the gospel and African worldviews was absent. It was simply a monologue by the Western missionaries. There has since been an attempt to reconcile the loss of African identity through an open dialogue between Western Christianity and African culture. There has been a move toward inculturating theology in Africa. Whenever the word of God is brought to a new culture, the people are pressured to change their value system and worldviews and view of realities. This is the gateway where the dialogue between the gospel and the current culture ensue. So here it is explained that there is a problems in the missions work of 19th century, because the missionaries focus only to propagate the gospel to the culture and to reject the culture. So there is no balance between the gospel, the culture of the gospel, and the African worldviews and culture. So it has problems in the beginning, but later on, missionary came to realize that the local people perceive the gospel and Christianity as alien or Western or colonial religions. So they try to contextualize or inculturate it with African cultures. So when we use inculturations is another word for contextualization, but when we compare these two terms, contextualization is broader in a sense, because the contextualization refers to the context of the people. The context refers to not only cultural context, it also refers to their personal behaviors, the context of their personal behavior, their belief, their worldviews, their culture, their custom, their religions. Contextualizations include all the context of the local people, but inculturations focus mainly specifically on culture. So this is the difference. Inculturations calls for the separations of the gospel from the cultural context of its transmissions. The process of inculturations recognizes that the culture of the evangelizers must be identified in order to distinguish the teaching of religious tradition from the culture of the missionaries. The distinctions ensure that the new society can receive the word of God without giving up of its current culture, and allows the local society to synchronize its expressions of the gospel. This process aims to bring about religious tradition which is true to the local people and their traditions. Let's continue the historical background of Ghana. The Gold Coast, located off Gulf of Guinea and current-day Ghana, was first colonized in 1874 by British colony. The Ashanti Kingdom was the largest empire on the Gold Coast. The kingdom was comprised of the Twi-speaking members of Argans people. The Argan are indigenous ethnic groups which can be found in Ghana and the southern part of Ivory Coast. They all share similar language and culture. In Ghana, the Argan include Fante, Akupems, and Gwahu, Asante, and Akiem, the Denkra, and Kwamu, Aguna, and Adits, the Adansi, the Asins, and Ahanta, and Brong, the Efutu, and the Gomwa, Sefui, and Tuifo, the Wesa or Wefe. The Ashanti developed the strong empire that reached its peak in the 18th and 19th century. After a long struggle, the Ashanti kingdoms came to British in 1896. The introductions of Protestantism into Ghana originated with the Basel Mission in 1828, which was joined shortly after the Methodists in 1835. Over the next 100 years, Christianity began to take root and spread throughout the land. Kwame Nkrumah, an advocate of Pan-Africanism, was instrumental in the liberations and creations of the new nation-state Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah created the Convention's People Party (CPP) in hope of self-governance now. He was supported by farmers, market women, and small business owners. In 1952, Kwame Nkrumah won the seat of Prime Minister and was selected in 1956 despite not having support of the Asante people, which was the largest tribe at that time. Kwame Nkrumah was the Prime Minister when Ghana received independence from British colony in March 1957. Ghana was the first colonized African country to gain independence. The impact of the Protestant missions was evident in the CPP's rhetoric. Kwame Nkrumah was able to express his Pan-Africanism and socialism in Christian metaphors. 60% of the 19 million Ghanaians declared to be Christians and 16% declared to be Muslims and 20% adhered traditional religions at those days. Christianity has gained support since 1960 and 43% were Christian and 45% practiced traditional religions in 1960. Christian rhetoric is displayed on public transportation, food stands, and billboards. African traditional religions is declining while mainline churches are stagnating. Pentecostal mission and churches are growing significantly. The main Protestant denominations are Methodist, Presbyterians, Basel Missions, and then Evangelical Presbyterians and Anglican. The foremost contributions of these Protestant missions was the establishment of schools. The schools have created educated elite class in Ghana. Some of those educated elite have gone on to be influential all over Africa. The Christian Council of Ghana, CCG, was founded in 1930. The Protestant churches in Ghana are closer to evangelical churches in the West and in no way resemble liberal churches of the West, and a literal non-fundamental reading of the Bible takes place in Ghanaian mainland churches. Women are instructed to submit to their husband. Therefore, women are often placed in the subservient role not only in the households but in the church as well. Critical readings and interpretations of the Bible text does not take place in most Ghanaian congregations. The theology that the missionaries brought in the 19th century, which most Western denominations no longer hold to, is the dominant theology found in Ghanaian congregations. The Ramsey Presbyterian Church, the subject of this study, was planted by Dutch Calvinist Natives. The Ramsey Presbyterian Church is the largest church in Bumbata. The church also sponsors the village primary and high school. The village is located in Asante regions. Ramsey Presbyterian Church is a member of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, PCG. And the PCG traced its root to the Basel Mission, which was first mission to successfully evangelize the Gold Coast. In December 1828, the first 4 missionaries arrived to Osu, but unfortunately they did not survive the year. The next wave of missionaries from the Basel Mission in 1832, they lived among the people and learned the Ga language, which is the language found in Accra area. 2 of the 3 missionaries died, Andres Reeds became the only survivors. He carried on the missions and was bold enough to move it from Usu to Akropong and explore Akiem's. Missionary Reeds moved his mission from the coastline of Ghana into interior of the nation, which was an unexplored mission field. In 1840, missionaries returned to Basel. On April 17, 1843, the Basel mission decided to make another attempt to evangelism, this time relying on African descendants from Jamaica. They were thought to be less susceptible to malaria and better able to withstand the tropical climate. The settlement in Osu and Akropong were the beginning stage of the Christian movement. Baptisms began to take place in 1847 and a seminary was established in 1848. Local people were recruited to spread the word of God, and from the years 1850 to 1870, the Basel missions show incredible growth and consideration. The Bible was translated into Ga language in 1866 by Johannes Zimmermann. In 1870, the Bible was translated into Twi by Christella. The Basel mission was the first attempt by Europeans to Christianize the interior of Ghana. The Ashanti Kingdom was more resistant to European institutions, including the Christian Church, than other regions of Ghana. Reverend Fritz Ramsay contributed to the missions of Ashanti regions, and Ramsay was captured by Ashanti people. The British felt that they finally had an excuse to attack Ashanti Kingdom in the Sagreni War in 1874. When Ramsay was finally released, he was assigned to Abetifi. In 1899, he again began a Christian movement in the Kumasi area and performed over 30 baptisms. The mission spread from Kumasi to Tegmentia and Brong Ahafu. When the First World War broke out in 1914, the British missionaries were expelled from the Gold Coast. The missions of the church fell into the hands of Ghanaians. The Ghanaian Christian community rose the challenge. Church leaders were trained at Akropong Seminary, which was created in the early 1850s. When the Scottish missionary arrived, led by Dr. A.W. Wilkie, they assisted the Ghanaians in restructuring the church administrative structures. In alignment with the reformed policy, they adopted a more democratic system. The early converts to Christianity found themselves at odds with the traditional ways of life had been handed down for generations. There were conflicts between the believers' new faith on the other hand, old practice and rituals on the other. For example, the Basel mission also introduced the idea of communal living. These communities became known as Salems. The Salems provided adherents with a place to escape the persecutions of the traditional system. The Salems grew into small towns and villages, helped to spread Christian missions. In order for the Salem system to work, the pastor bought plots of lands outside the town or the village. The Salems were places free from traditional obligations and gave the pastor the ability to provide pastoral care. They introduced divisions into Ghanaian community, creating an educated class of Christians in Ghanaian society, thereby gaining the access to higher education and better jobs. They came to regard their fellow non-Christian Ghanaian brothers as barbarous or uncivilized people. This undermined the traditional leader while endangering social cohesion. The Salems contributed to the modernizations and growth of the elite community that they were associated with. By 2004, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana was running 10,907 schools and 1 university. By 2004, the Presbyterian Church of Ghana was running more than 10,000 schools and 1 university. There are now 37 health institutions associated with the church. Agricultural development programs are also sponsored by the PCG. Market and prison ministries are vital aspects of the mission. And the vernacular tongues has been in use in Ghanaian churches for over 176 years, and much of the literature has been translated. The membership of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is around 527,000 raisins. So in this class, we just have a brief view in the country Ghana and overall background of Ghana, and we just briefly look the coming of the gospel in Ghana. And now we will stop here, and next we will see the contextual missions in Ghana. We will continue on this research. So we just stop here now and see you in next class. God bless you all. Thank you.